Hey, what's up ladies and gents? Welcome to my Player of the Week review for the European Club Championship players. So these are the players right now, very flashy cards. Let's start off with Joao Cancelo, a fullback finisher from Manchester City with a form rating of A, and this guy is absolutely sensational. Like ball control, dribbling, low passing, lofted passing, curling. And you think he's got it all right. You think he's got it all over Trent Alexander-Arnold, for example. But one of the things he does lack in his player skills is one-touch passing. Now, that's not massively important, but for me, especially with the fullbacks integrate with the possession-based style, it is kind of important because they do get forward, they do support the attack, and sometimes you just need to release that first-time pass. But in saying that, he's got pinpoint crossing, interception, slide tackling, but for me, I would buy Trent and boost his tight possession, his ball control and dribbling, because that's really low on Trent, but you can boost it up to a significant level where you can probably get a better player. But Joao Cancelo, you know, this is an unbelievable player. His lofted passing along with the pinpoint crossing and curling make him very dangerous at delivering balls into the box. So that is Joao Cancelo. Hernandez from Bayern Munich next. Now, he has got an overall of 94, but a lot of those points, a lot of that overall is going to be captured in the aggression, and that's not the best stat to have, but let's just take a look at his other stats. Now, for me, the key one when you're defending, right, is the defensive awareness. This determines how well they track the run of, certainly when you're playing against high-level strikers, the last thing you want is defensive awareness around 82, because it's got to be at 85 and above, in my opinion, because when you face the likes of Romario, Inzaghi, any players with high offensive awareness is going to run off the back of you and end up scoring. And whilst tackling is great, defensive engagement is great, jumping is really good as well, it's very hard to recommend him as a sort of centre back. And then if you play him in a fullback position, his lofted passing isn't all that great either. We'll look at his player skills: man marking, interception, aerial superiority, acrobatic clearance. Great to have as a fullback, but for me, I don't think I could recommend Hernandez, to be honest. David Neres. Now, this is a player I could definitely recommend. Just looking at immediately his acceleration and speed disparity, that's almost perfect, those 4 points. Talk about that a lot. His dribbling is 90. His tight possession is really high. So looking really good so far. His balance is 86. So he's got pretty good end product, I would say. You know, lofted pass 79, curling 77. It's not perfect, but it's all right. He's got 76 for finishing, so he can score the odd goal. Let's just take a look at his player skills. Now, he hasn't got one-touch passing, which is a little bit disappointing, but he has got through passing, so he's going to be able to play that through ball to the striker. He can play as a centre forward. If you look at the diagram in the top right-hand corner, he's got acrobatic finishing, he's got soul control, which is good for obviously finesse dribbling, and pinpoint crossing. You know, whilst the one-touch pass is an omission, he's still looking pretty good in this pack so far. Joel Matip. Now, this, in my opinion, is a better defender. He is kind of slow with 66 acceleration, but he's got better defensive awareness, good defensive engagement. He's really tall as well, 195 centimeters, 90 kilograms in weight, so he's going to be able to muscle your opponents off the ball, especially with that 93 physical contact, heading 88, and he can pass the ball as well, so low passing, lofted passing, so a pretty solid player, and in my opinion, is better than Hernandez. Let's just take a look at his player skills. Interception, really good to have. Acrobatic clearing, man marking. He's even got through passing. I mean, I can't really imagine you're going to use many through balls, but sometimes when you're playing out to your fullbacks, you may want to make them go forward. So sometimes you will use a through ball. So some nice little player skills there, and definitely a player that I could recommend. Paulinho, deep lying forward. To be honest, his stats are pretty average across the board. He's a 4-star player, but his offensive awareness and finishing is decent, but there's better strikers out there, in all honesty. We'll just have a quick look at his player skills. One-touch passing and through passing. First-time shot, great to have. He is a super sub as well, so you could probably use him from the bench. So if you haven't got a better striker, then, you know, this one will link the play very nicely. One-touch pass is quite rare with strikers anyway, but, you know, it's a real nice to have the one-touch passing and through passing if you are going to use him alongside someone else or want to bring your midfield into the game. Pobega for AC Milan. So he is a central midfielder. He is a whole player, so take that into consideration when you're thinking about how you're going to play. But in all honesty, I cannot really recommend this player at all. mainly his points are going into aggression again. He's good defensive engagement, so he can do like the defensive side of things, but with the whole player role, that means he's going to be more advanced. So I just don't see where he fits in. He is quite physical. His balance is kind of low. But yeah, not really a player I can really recommend out of this pack, in all honesty. We'll look at his player skills. One touch pass. He hasn't got through passing. Aerial superiority. First time shot. So it's a bit of a weird one. He's got like good offensive player skills, but then he's more towards a defensive side player. It's a very strange one. A very strange one, and not really a player I could recommend. Valverde. Now, this is a player. Okay, there are better players out there for sure. He can play central midfield and the right wing forward positions. He's got great acceleration, speed disparity. You know, his dribbling isn't too bad either, along with his tight possession, low passing and lofted passing. I see this player more as a midfielder than a right wing forward, if I'm being honest. He's got that defensive engagement to win the ball back. He's got good defensive awareness, tackling, kicking power, so he can score the odd long ranger. He's got a brilliant engine. Never stops running, so 90 stamina, that's really good. And like I said, he's got decent passing in that midfield area as well. So a very, very tidy player. A player that's not going to like run out of stamina too quickly. He's got one touch passing, through passing, interception. So he can do everything. He can do the passing side of things, and he can also win the ball back for you. So if you're like playing a 4-4-2, you could definitely use this player because he's got defensive ability as well as offensive ability. But there are better midfielders out there if you wanted to pick them up using GP. And Ndombele. So he is a 94 rated box-to-box central midfielder for Napoli. And whilst his overall is 94, a lot of those points are in dribbling. And because he hasn't got the greatest speed, you're not really going to see the best of him when he's carrying the ball. He's still going to be quick with the ball. You're going to get most of that 79 speed when you're carrying the ball, and he's got decent acceleration. But for me personally, you know, he hasn't got great defensive qualities. It's not bad, but it's not great. And whilst his low passing is really high, as tight passing and ball control, so he's going to be able to operate in tight spaces in advanced areas of the pitch. But defensively, I think he's perhaps needs someone alongside him, maybe a solid defensive midfielder if you are going to get this guy. But, you know, he's not too bad overall. His balance is really good. His physical contact's really good. Let's just take a look at his player skills. One touch passing, through passing, and nice to have. So, and he's a super sub, so you could bring him off the bench. Then he can play a defensive midfield role, central midfield role, and attack midfield role. So I think I see him more of a central midfielder, but you're just going to need someone a little bit better, perhaps on the defensive side of things, to intercept, because he hasn't got any interception or blocker roles either. So just something to think about there. Edin Dzeko. Now this is a player I could probably recommend because a lot of you are probably going to have the similar strikers that I've got, like fast, quick, nimble strikers like the likes of Mbappe or Inzaghi or Mario. But sometimes you just want to throw the ball in the box and head it into the back of the net. And with 90 offensive awareness, the target man role, amazing finishing and heading, probably the most dangerous striker in the air. He's got 80 for jumping, physical contact 88, so he's going to bash players around quite nicely. He has got a form rating of D, which is a little bit disappointing, but obviously that will change because it's probably his form is standard, as you can see there, so it's not unwavering. And if we look at the player skills, we can see that he's got first time shot, heading, aerial superiority, so that's all good for, you know, just throwing the ball into the box. Maybe like the last 10 minutes you're a goal down and you want to apply a little bit more pressure aerially. If you're coming up against a player with quick defenders but maybe not so good in the air, then this is a guy that I could definitely recommend and would just offer you something a little bit different. He's got one touch passing, meaning he can bring other players into play. So you can knock the ball up to him, you can bring it down, you can lay the ball off and then get into the box ready for heading and volleying it into the back of the net. So yeah, it's something different. I would definitely really like to have Dzeko in my team. Frimpong. We've seen this guy before, and again, he's got brilliant acceleration and speed and dribbling and tight possession. Really good, really quick. He's got good balance as well and stamina, so he's going to be able to get up and down the pitch. He can play right back, right midfield, but he hasn't got much end product. He's not really going to be a player that can cross the ball into the box with 70 lofted passing. So just run down the wing, turn around, pass it back to someone who can actually finish or cross the ball would be my idea of how to get the most out of him. We'll just take a look at his player skills. He hasn't got one touch passing or through passing. So for me personally, I see him more as a right back, but he's not all that great defensively, but with his speed, he can make up for that. sort of lack of a defensive awareness. So where players may get in behind him, he might be able to catch up with his speed and acceleration. He's got interception, he's got pinpoint crossing, which are probably the two key ones. But like I said, with that lofted pass at 70, it's really hard to recommend him as an offensive player. And finally, Mignolet, defensive goalkeeper who plays for Club Brugge, 90 rated. Really good stats in the right places. So goalkeeping awareness, goalkeeping reflexes and reach are the very key ones. The rest, aren't too important. So if you haven't got a goalkeeper anywhere near this level, then he's going to do a decent job for you until you find someone better. We'll just take a look at his player skills: high punt, long throw and penalty saver. So yeah, if we just take a look at the pack, who would I recommend? Joao Cancelo is quite an easy one to recommend. Joel Matip and Edin Dzeko for me are the top picks in this pack. Okay, so we have 3 epic FC Bayern Munich players to look at, and we're going to start off with Oliver Kahn. Now he's got 21 levels and his goalkeeping awareness is already 82. His catching is 82 as well. He favours the possession game. I wish I could pick this guy out because the times I've come up against him have been insane. So with his epic card, it'd be interesting to see just how many points you can get those goalkeeping skills up. I would end up boosting his awareness further, his reflexes, his reach first and foremost, and then focus on the catching over the parrying. As for his player skills, goalkeeper high punt, long throw, penalty saver, captaincy and fighting spirit, all good things to have as a goalkeeper. I have no idea how to say this guy's name, so I'm just going to call him Ho. And regarding his player skills, he has got 34 levels to pump points into this player, so you can sort of design him how you want. He's already pretty fast in terms of his speed and acceleration, so you probably don't need to touch on that, but you probably need to boost his acceleration a bit because that's tied to his balance, and his balance is kind of low. And his dribbling isn't too bad, so I try and get his dribbling up to around his speed and acceleration, whatever that's going to be. And then I would aim for just boosting his low passing or finishing, depending on the type of sort of winger you're after, really. Whether you need a goal scorer or someone who can pass the ball effectively. We'll just take a look at his player skills. First time shot, one touch pass are good to have as a winger. Acrobatic finishing is a nice to have, especially if he's coming in when the opposite flank is crossing the ball. Overall, not really a player I could recommend, in all honesty. Looks pretty lame for an epic card. And then finally, Lizarazu, 46 levels. That's more like it. That's more like what you expect to see from a legend. And again, it allows you to develop him how you want to see him. He's already got great stamina, so you probably don't need to boost that all that much, which is obviously tied to his speed when you train it. His acceleration is absolutely fine. I would say his dribbling, his tight possession and low passing all need to be boosted, along with his lofted passing and curling. So those are the things I would sort of focus on when you're leveling him up. But he could be a really good fullback, in my opinion. One touch passing, weighted passing, pinpoint crossing, low lofted passing, interception, slide tackle, acrobatic clearance. Those are some of the best skills you can have as a fullback. So definitely one I could recommend. Anyway, let me know who you get in your pack, and I'm going to quickly play a few games and maybe roll for one of these players just to see who I get. Anyway, that is pretty much it for me, ladies and gents. Thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Take care. Goodbye.